A beautiful afternoon to you. Super duper glad to be here with you today on Flip Side with yours sincerely, Oloije Oyihokai. I want to use this avenue this time to say happy new month to each and every one of you today, watching us wherever you are on Flip Side. And today on Flip Side, we'll be talking about will. Yes, the relevance, the importance of will in our homes. And discussing that with us today, I have three wonderful men with me today. It took, will I say, a lot of things to bring them to the studio today, and I'm super glad today that they are here with us, making sure they do justice to everything that has to do with will. And from my far left, I have the person of Mr. Theophilus Umogbai. He is the curator, Benin Museum. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much.
And happy new month.
I wish you the same.
And also, by his side is the person of Chief Osemige Ero. He's our daddy, our grandfather. He is the Edoba High. I don't know if Edoba Yohai of Benin Kingdom. Ipadomo. And also,
Happy New Month.
Yes, happy new month. Thank you so much, Ipa. And also by my side is a person of, he's an esquire, yes, Barrister Joseph Alego.
Alego.
Yes, okay. Alego.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making it a day with us today on Flip Side.
Thank you very much. And welcome to the new month of December 2021.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, first up, we'll be talking to Chief Ero. We want to ask Chief Ero right now, in our Benin traditional setting, is there anything like will?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Because we have unwritten will,
Okay.
confession. And I think the written one is just coming. But before now, to have will in Benin, we have different types of will. We have ordinary, what I call ordinary will. Then there is a hereditary will, which is made to a progenitor. I think that is one that is so famous in Benin because of the hereditary system of life we live. Hereditary, those acquiring higher apparent to either chieftain affairs or other chief priests that are being inherited by their children. That's a type of will. But ordinarily, the other is also there, that when a man is dying, or by the side making a will, calling the family, that he has known the children that he has, and probably has some wealth. Because in Benin, the senior son inherit all properties that the man has. But in viewing it, the man knowing quite well that the senior son will get the whole property, then he now give out some to the children. And he's doing that orally. When I say it is unwritten, he calls members of the family, maybe 2, 3, or 4 people, and telling them that so and so is giving to so and so, so that we put a cost on it.
Okay.
That's what we have been doing.
Okay.
Before the written one that is coming now to guide.
Okay. Okay. Now, when we talk, Chief Ero, when we talk about the written will, does it mean that as a traditionalist now you can walk up to a lawyer and tell the lawyer that I want to write my will?
Yes, exactly now.
Okay. As a traditional man. Okay.
The only problem that one is having with us, when it is not well documented, the family or the heir apparent has a right to go to court.
Okay.
that is not well
written. Okay. Okay, for those of you just joining us, we're talking about the necessity of will in the home. We have heard of instances where a man dies and the family of the man takes over everything the man has left behind. Now, we know of some cases where the will has been written and the family comes and says, no, we don't know anything as far as our tradition is concerned. We don't have anything concerning that. We're not in partner with the will that has been written. Now, we also have a case of a man that died. Yes, that was last month. Now, the woman, the wife of the man, the family came in and said, hey, you don't have a right to be in this family any longer. Now, someone also said that as far as you are a woman in the home, your inheritance, as far as the man is concerned, the man is dead, you are no longer in any written agreement with our family. Now, we want to know, when a man dies, is the woman still in custody of whatever the man has laid behind? Now, I'm giving that to the lawyer. And first of all, we have to ask, as a lawyer, what is a will?
All right, thank you very much. And greetings to viewers at home, and once more, Happy New Month. I want to say basically that a will is a document. In other words, when you say it's a document, it's written.
Okay.
It conveys the mind or the intent or the instructions, the directives of a man while he's alive. And God has blessed him with properties, both personal and real. When we say personal, we mean movables, and real immovable properties. And he wants to dispose those ways so that they can devolve on his heirs according to his express desires. He brings that into play by putting it in black and white, which is a document called a will. It is called a will and testament. The person who is conveying that or who is expressing that desire or direction or instruction is called the testator. The document comes into play when upon his demise. So if he's a woman, you call that person a testatress. So he will have executors, those who are going to find, facilitate the expression of that will when he has left the scene, so that all the beneficiaries, those who are going to benefit from the express direction he has given from his will, who are the beneficiaries, or those who are properties are going to devolve on upon his death, those are called the beneficiaries. All of those ones will be expressed in the will, in the document called the will. So it is a legal document. It is actually, flowing from statutory provisions. For instance, the Will Act of 1837. And we have, wills laws of different states, just like domestication. Maybe when the national makes a law, you see states domesticating them, like Child Rights Acts and others. So we have various wills laws of different states. Just like Chief was talking about, it does not mean it will, shy away from some, cultural provisions that are recognized in certain jurisdictions. It is incorporated into certain aspects of, incorporated into certain aspects of the law, in certain sections of the law. Is that even if you are devolving properties on your beneficiaries or your heirs, you will not shy away from cultural provisions that are recognized within that jurisdiction. To help the constituency and the jurisdictions, most of these sections or the sections of the state wills laws have captured these cultural aspects, and most of the provisions of the law, even decisions of court, also have affirmed that the position of the law must be complied with. Such as a will must be in writing. It must be attested to by witnesses. It must be, done by a testator, duly signed. A testator must duly sign it in the presence of witnesses, at least two. It can be more than two, but at least two. These are all provisions of the law to guide against coercion, guide against, fraud, guide against undue influence, and all of the things that might want to jeopardize the validity of the will so made by the testator. So it helps, just as you're talking about the necessity of the will, it helps a long way to cut confusion, excesses, And some of these cultural practices or some obnoxious, play of events where a widow begins to go through some traumatic experiences that ought not to be. So the will cures most of this. It gives, the man, the testator now, while he's alive, the leeway to do the right thing, so that upon his death, his property will not devolve on somebody who does not want to share. And his property will actually go to his heirs and those he has in mind to share his property to. So we have several types of will, like the formal will is what we are talking about now. Like the one Chief Ero talked about, the non-cooperative will, that is the customary wills. It is done in jurisdiction where they are recognized, but it must be in the presence of witnesses. The difference is that it might not be in writing, basically, and it might not
That's
be
for the customary.
Yes, the customary aspect of the will. It might not be in writing, but in jurisdiction or in cultural, areas where it is recognized, it is made parole, that is by word, but it must be in the presence of witnesses, people who can say he made such a thing.
Okay. All right. So much more later, we'll be asking the customary law and the normal, the one we are used to, the will written by the lawyer. Which one is more superior, the traditional and the written one, the written will? For Mr. Theophilus, now I want to ask, to your own take, what do you feel a will is?
Thank you. I just want to add to what our barrister has just analyzed. Yes, I agree with him totally. He has defined it, he has explained what a will is from the legal perspective. I'll just chip in by saying that a will is also ambulatory, and it can be revoked or mended while that testator is alive. It only takes effect after the testator has passed on. But while alive, if he makes that will, he can still go back at any point in time to make amendments to adjust according to dictates of the time before he passes on. But after he passes on, the will is cast in stone and can only be talked about in the court. So, and secondly also, in addition to, you have what they call testamentary, capacities. Before somebody can say he wants to write a will, two elements must be there. Age. It must be qualified by age. I think it's 21 years and above, except the soldiers who go on a part of a particular occupation that tend to shorten their lives. Like they can be 18 or thereabout, but the age matters. Then two, the mental capacity. The person must be in a sound mind. So it doesn't go there and will all his property to even the person who is supposed to execute for him. So those two elements must be there. So I, from my own little perspective, I believe wills are important, just as has been described by the lawyer in our midst. They are important because they will help whoever is alive today, whether man or woman, to take care of his loved ones or our loved ones when he has passed on. Because we have so many cases that after the death of a man in particular, so many issues crop up. I'm sure they will be raised later during this program. They crop up. So wills help to solve that. The chief rightly mentioned also that anybody who is aggrieved can go and test the efficacy of a will, written document, written will. In court, we have had series of such cases, and they have gone the other side. And that's what I would say, wills are very, very important.
Okay, now to Chief Ero, is there a particular substance, is there a particular thing that a man can inherit and a woman cannot inherit? As far as the traditional setting is concerned, we know of some men, before their death, they'll say, okay, my daughter is to inherit this, my son is to inherit this. And when he passes on, we find the traditionalists coming to place, the elderly coming to place and saying, no, this is what the man is supposed to have and this is what the woman is supposed to have. Does it happen in the traditional setting?
Yes, it does. That's why we have in Benin, we have this system of progenitor. A system of progenitor is placed on the man, that the senior son, not the senior daughter. So that everything is to the senior son.
Okay.
We believe in paternal more than the maternal side.
Okay.
In our system.
Okay.
So that the like chief priest in Benin, we have hereditary chief priest. We have hereditary stool to be taken. When we have say stool, that's a stool hereditary post which a woman cannot inherit.
Okay.
No matter how the woman, how influential he is to the father or to the chief priest or to like the other Benin, a woman cannot become another in Benin. Even if the senior daughter, they have played out here. So the man must be me, not the woman. But in the system in Benin, ordinarily, excepting when the man could not produce a man, that's all females.
Okay.
When that one plays, it is the female, it is now the senior daughter will now be the first person to be given a property.
Okay, when there is no male.
When there's no male.
Okay.
But when there's a male, there are some cases the senior, the female will be 35 years, 40 years, while the male will be even 10 years.
10 years.
And then it is that 10 years that is now the senior when we follow progenitor.
Okay.
So that you see the women now, or a woman is neglected in the system. So that it is the choice of the family or the system in the will be the,
Okay.
the small child,
Okay.
which is very, I mean, the last child to the family.
Okay.
So that the woman cannot go to court and say, oh, I'm 40 years old, and a child that is only 10 years old is now made to be my senior and to take first. So that is the system we have. That's the women are not recognized in the system in Benin to take first before the.
Okay. So in a case where the man before he died wrote the will that is the daughter that is to take that particular position, to take that particular property, and in the long run the elders come in and say no, it's supposed to be the man, that's supposed to be the 10-year-old boy, or even if it's like 35 and the daughter is 36 or 37, then the elders come in and say no, it ought to be the property of the man. Can the law contest that? Okay, now okay. To the lawyer.
Actually, these are places where the law comes in to put all of these safeguards in place.
Okay.
And that's actually the function of the legislators, to make laws that are for the good governance of the place. And also the law looks at traditions that are repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. And either efface some of these things or make sure that the law guides and protects its citizens from some cultures that are not properly seen as going to safeguard the interest or in the best interest of the citizen. Like Chief is talking about, it's actually from the angle of progenitorship, where he's talking about from the paternal side of the perspective from which African viewed it. That is not repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience, because it's being looked at, okay, you are taking over as a father of the family, so you should be able to bring that succor to younger ones and make sure that the legacy of the family is kept intact. But today times are changing, and you have people who are into different fields, into different jurisdictions and locality. They might not just be in one place in the same community, and so times are changing, and that's why the will comes into effect. So the law also acknowledges and recognizes different types of wills, just as I said, the formal aspect or the formal will is what we're talking about.
Okay, now as a lawyer, now we talked about something. Now Chief said when there is a male child in that family,
yes,
the female child is being relegated to the background.
Okay.
Whereby what the father wrote as his testament, now this is going to be to my daughter, she is the first in the family. Now the village head comes and say no, it's to be given to the son.
That's culturally.
Okay. Can the law now dispute the fact that, or abide to the fact that yes, this is ought to happen?
Even at that,
can the law stand against what the cultural man has said?
Yes, the law will stand against even what the testator has done, because the testator is not even following some sections of the law that actually recognizes that cultural play within that jurisdiction, because the law recognizes that ordinarily you will not be able to dispose or will out something that culturally belongs to the first son. You can't do that. And if you do that, the law itself will not be on your side. So you need to pay attention to the cultural dictates of the place. Because even the section of the law, that is the wills law of different states, have actually, recognized that. Like my co-panelist was talking about age, which is mental capacity. Some places recognize 21 years, while other jurisdictions,
18.
some states recognize 18. So you have to play by the law. If you don't, the law will not defend you.
So this is to say,
yes,
for the fact,
the cultural aspect and recognizes that there are some cultures that recognizes this aspect of certain properties, like the Gilbert in Benin Kingdom. You can't do that. Even if the father wills it to anybody, it will reverse. If the first son goes to court, the law will be on his side and protect his interest. So that is where a legal practitioner who knows his onions, and
I have to advise.
We know too that you consult one, and he will be able to bring his professional expertise to bear. To bear on most of these things. Thank you very much.
Okay, now, Mr. Theophilus, as a married man, now we know of some cases where husband, wife come together and build the home. We find situation, they come together, there's a pause. Okay, we're going to establish this at so and so time. We're going to build our home. And in the long run, the man dies, knowing fully well that the woman had like 99% contribution to that property, to that home. What's going to be the stance of the woman at that particular time?
Thank you. Many of us, our disposition to wills is one of procrastination. Many Nigerians, including the speaker now. I have not done one, and there's so many Nigerians like that. We don't even bother ourselves. We don't want to discuss death. Nobody wants to consider it.
Yes. I actually wanted to ask that. Does it mean
we look at it from the spiritual? And if we talk about
because some persons, they feel like when I go to meet my lawyer, that's to say, okay, maybe I'm expecting, yes.
And it will not happen. So we procrastinate a lot, but we don't procrastinate when we are alive to do things for our family, like you just mentioned. One of them is building a house. I have a radical approach to all this, to forestall, because it has been established, and the chief, while he was saying it, was making a statement of facts, reality, what obtains in the culture. Women are actually segregated. They are pushed aside when it comes to the issue of the will and their application. So while the wife and the husband are there struggling, especially in cases like even mine. By the time I married my wife, I could boast of a table, a chair, and one miserable looking carpet. This woman came in and struggled with me, and we built that home. So by the time I got to the stage where I could now start saying, let me get a land, if I talk about start building, even though it took me years, I just made up my mind. I went radical, and I said, you know what? All the title deeds of that house will bear both of our names. It's going to be co-ownership. There's a difference between possession and ownership. The woman stays with the husband for donkey years, possessing the sitting room, the parlor. She's in control. Who is that? Don't enter my house. Who is this? Don't do this. I don't like that, your friend. I like this. It's just possession. What of ownership? Somewhere in the crevices of the wardrobe, the man has documents bearing Mr. blah blah blah, Mr. blah blah blah. He goes ahead and does his will, and the woman is left high and dry. So the title from that C of O, it should be Mr. Timothy, whatever, and Mrs. Agobasivugiagbolololo, and the name, full name, not Mr. and Mrs. That many mistakes many of them make. Mr. and Mrs. Timothy and this. That Mrs. can be somebody in Jos. It can be somebody in Karalamoda. But when it is specific to your wife and their full names are there, I speak from experience because that's what I did. Most of the major investments by the man, if he's sure that woman struggled to push two of them to the stage that they are, should be in both of their names. I'm not a lawyer. I want to believe that when I buy a property and is bearing both of our names in full, there's already a contract there. It will be difficult for any will to not say, or any man to go and do a will and say that property I give it to blah blah blah, my cousin, my senior brother, my this. Whereas the receipts, all the documents are bearing both the name of the man and the woman. The court will tell you that the man didn't own what he disposed of. So while alive, people should learn such lessons. The man who knows the wife has struggled, like in my own case, should carry the woman along while alive. So the will will take care of other things.
All right. Okay, now, Chief, I want to ask now, can this stand?
Yes. What is happening with us now? In in 1950, the first woman to build a house in Benin was Mrs. Madam Mazehiaga at Boone Street. Because women are not allowed. But from what is happening now, you see the suffering some of the women, because we are polygamous
society.
Yes. What is happening to some women? Maybe the first wife has no male child.
Yes.
And he suffered. She suffered.
To bring up the home.
Now, he has no male child. So what is happening nowadays, you see women building houses in Benin.
Yes.
The husband, they have allowed them, even the husband assist. Because what they are doing is that, because my first son is going to acquire this because of the system. What of this woman who has suffered, labored together with them? So he gave power, assistance to the woman to build a house. Then that's what happened. That is to guide, and this is what the question asked. So women nowadays, you see that even a woman, the husband can have only a house. When the woman is having two houses because she's a worker, she's a trader, she has the money. So for the children and herself. So at when the man dies and the house is left for the signature, the woman now packs to her home or houses and get money from it. So that one is. But to say that a woman, like what the person has,
Okay. Now, I know of a situation, this happened in Benin. The husband was not in the country. He came back with nothing. The woman was here struggling. Finally, she built a home for themselves to live in. Now, the man died. The family members came in and say, hey, okay, madam, your husband is no more. Please pack your load and leave our brother's house. In this case, what can the woman do? Knowing fully well she built the house and the house is in the name of the man. What will happen in this case?
What happens that unless, because I mentioned that we are
in nature. Yes.
If it's one wife, and the woman and the children, because we are looking at the children.
Yes.
Not even the man, but the woman that has suffered, it is the children that is inheriting it.
Okay.
But when it is dangerous at times, if the man marries another wife, and they have only that house, the family in Benin will still look at it. It is this woman and the children that suffer to build this house. They give it to the woman and the children. But when it is a bit dangerous is that if the woman has no child and she labored and everything, and to build the house. Now, what happened? The family will also look at it.
Okay.
We have it in Benin. When a woman has no child for a man, she can acquire the property.
Okay.
Then the family will now come say, sorry, madam, well, it's our house, we have no child.
So in as much she is the one that built the house?
No, if the one that built the house, the family will know.
Okay.
They will give her a part of the house to live.
Okay.
And at times, they give her a part to live until her death. The man acquiring should not let the woman until her death. Yes, we have that system.
Okay.
The woman should not be
changed out of the house.
Yes, changed that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Chief. To our barrister here, can a will be written without a lawyer?
There are different types of will, but actually the formal will, which were basically talking about or dwelling on today. The legal practitioner comes in because of his expertise, his knowledge, his professionalism, and all of that. But we have holographic will that can be written in your hands and is recognized in jurisdictions where that obtains. And Mr. Mobile was talking about the kind of will that we call privileged will, like crew members of an aircraft, because of the precarious nature of their job, and wayfarers or seafarers, seamen. And then you talk about combatants, actual military men in the battlefield. Some of the strict provisions of the law in regards to will might be, downplayed to give them a special place. So those ones are called privileged wills. So, and then the non-competitive will. Then you have reciprocal will, where both the man and the wife can come together to make this will, consequent upon which if one partner dies, the other one goes on with the properties, until when maybe she or he has passed on later on before they will develop on the children. So all of these things are safeguarded. And then there are some other, types of will, like statutory wills, where you have like the Armed Forces Act, gives provision for you to bring about your will in certain special ways. So all of those things are there to curb some of these excesses. So when it comes to, giving protection, the law tries as much as it can to give protection to the citizen. But others go for other options, like nominations, where you can have your funds in a cooperative society or in a trust and all of that, so that you nominate that upon my passing, it will devolve on this person. So, but that does not go for real estate. That is real property now, like houses and all of that. But for moving funds, especially, some go for nominations. Why some go for deed of gifts? While they're alive, they write it as a give of deed. I'm giving this as a gift to my wife or to my son. And others go for settlement, intervivals. That is why the man is alive, it takes effect. Because one of the differences or the remarkable differences of the will, is that it takes effect upon the death of the man. And sometimes, or most of the time, most of the testators don't like the will being in their custody. They'll leave it in the custody of the the registry, the court registry, or leave it with their solicitor or bankers. Most of the time, they don't like keeping it with them. So even if they keep it with themselves, there is danger of maybe being tampered with. That is when one of the panelists here, Mr. Mobile, was talking about what? Revocation, or maybe trying to amend while the person is still alive. Yes. To try to review, then you put them as attachment, as codicils. Call them codicils. They come in as codicils. They are part of the will, or they have shown alteration. Wherever there is an alteration or anything that is done with the will, or the other properties you have acquired and want to add up to your will, they'll come by way of codices, and they'll be part of that will also. But you can take, advantage of several options. This is an enlightenment program. Thank God for ITV and its management. We expect the public to take clue from most of this enlightenment that is being given, so that they'll take advantage of, the provisions of the will and begin to do one. It doesn't take much to do a will. So I would say it is necessary for a lawyer to come in to give it that professional touch.
Okay. Now, before I ask you, what can one actually get when you say writing a will? What are those properties you would have before you would say, okay, I am ready to write a will? If you have like TV, for instance, just a TV in your sitting room, is that enough for you to go write a will?
Yes, it's a movable. It's a personal property. It's a property. It's a movable.
Okay. So you can add that to a will.
Even though it's not a real property, it's a personal
maybe
property.
it's the first achievement you've had.
Sure.
And so you can start with the TV.
You start with that.
Okay.
Start with that.
All right. So to Mr. Theophilus now, there's this thing that actually happened last month, and social media went viral concerning it. Someone said when a man dies, the contract with the family as regards the woman comes to an end. Now, I want to ask you, how do you say about that?
Contract, that word is strong, because the only contract I see in that family is the one between the man and the wife.
Okay.
Every other one is cultural, every other one is by association. Because there's no documents linking, for example, the wife with the family directly.
Okay.
They'll be saying that, look, when this thing happens, this is what we're going to do to you. Take it or leave it. There's no document there. All these things can be tested in the court. But there's a marriage certificate. And there the vows are taken. Guess what? One of them is that there's a phrase, till death do us part. What death does is separate the woman from the husband as a wife, husband and wife.
Okay.
It doesn't eliminate her as a human being.
Okay.
It doesn't say that now your suffering continues. It doesn't say the property or they talked about real estate now. Any property that both of you suffer together to acquire is dead. The property is still alive. And they're still in this woman's possession.
Okay, no, wait. Does she still have a relationship with the man's family?
She does, definitely now. She has children. She has children. They are bearing the name of probably the man's father.
Yes,
as we normally do.
Or great-grandfather.
Or great-grandfather. There's no way you can divulge the family from... Why is it that during the same marriage that she had with the husband, who is giving out this woman to...
The father comes out,
The father plays a key
or the
role.
uncle comes out.
Then during the signing of the registry, what happens? They call the parents. If they don't bear witness, it means that man just eloped, with the girl. All this must come together. Even in the church today, we are told that without the parents' blessings, you never start at all. So that is how it works. The family is very important. But what we are discussing today has to do with the unfortunate incident that the man passes on and he dies interstate. We didn't even mention that. You die interstate, that means you die without a will, or you die with a will. And now that's what we are debating. I want to quickly digress a bit, but it's kind of related. Because of the fact that many people procrastinate about this writing of will, those of us in the public service, civil service, there's what we call next of kin. Next of kin. If you look at it and trace it very well, you will see that it bears close affinity with how a will operates. Because the man willingly and willy-nilly sits down to say, I'm working in this organization, I'm supposed to do 35 years, after about 30 years or so, or even the 35th year, as I've seen with a colleague or two, the person dies the year that he retired. And when they went to check his record, it was discovered that when he was employed, he was not married, so he put his uncle and his senior brother as next of kids. And he didn't change them while he was alive. That's why I'm talking about the ambulatory nature of all these documents. When you are alive, do the needful. If you don't change, everything goes to the person whose name appears on that particular next of kin. It's a kind of will, if you ask me, because some of them, huge funds are involved.
True. And
the children are there, cannot even pay school fees. So all these things, we should pay attention to them. We should not procrastinate about them. If we are doing about wills, we should not do about all those type of little things that can even bring succor to the family. I don't know, I'm not the interviewer, I would have wanted my learned friend here to share some light about what I mentioned earlier. A husband buys a land, puts his full name, puts the wife's full name, and somewhere along the line, the case is being dragged. Does she have a case in court as laying claim to that property?
Well, that's if there's a man still alive.
He's not dead.
He's not dead. Okay.
What we are discussing is although unfortunately all our discussions are centered about the man dying. Nobody's talking about the woman. Nobody's talking about the woman dying. But
no, because we know that prevalence right now is happens to be always the woman at fault, always woman being attacked. We have not seen a situation where the woman is the one that has the property, the woman dies, and anybody of the woman's relative comes to start attacking the man. We all see that it's always going down to the angle of the woman. So we had to narrow our discussion to when the man dies.
But I want to be guided, really. I did his counsel on that. It's a wise legal counsel. Is that paper worth what it is? Title dates, everything, even the
Mr.
TV.
and Mrs.
Even the TV.
No, Mr. Theophilus Umogbai
even the
and
TV
Mrs. Rita Umogbai.
They're carrying all these receipts. Is there any
yes, it's often reflected as joint transferees.
Good.
So if it is joint, the departure of one partner
Yes, sir.
means that the other one is still
Take
standing.
over.
Period.
That is why, you know, when you always speak, you always say, the lawyer will come in. The lawyer will come in.
Yes.
Even now, you're talking about legal guidance.
I have to.
In our tradition,
Yes.
we have respect for the woman.
Okay.
I have
Cannot
to.
be driven out from the house.
Yes.
He lives there, she lives there, unless she wants to pack out.
Okay.
And when she's there, she's respected. And before she goes, there is a traditional right to be performed that she's no longer a wife.
Okay.
And if that traditional this is not performed, she's still a wife and respected.
Okay, so she's still part of the family.
Part of
So
the
that's saying that when the man dies, the contract with the woman, with the family has ended is not true.
Not true.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, now to our lawyer. Some persons, they feel like, oh, I'm the age of 18, I want to go write my will, and I have, maybe I have a building, I have some cars and all of that. Do you tend to, you know, ask this young person question like, how did you come about this from the age of 18?
You're talking about probing as
Yes,
to the
yes,
source of-
yes,
of-
yes.
of
Or you
this
just go
accusation.
ahead and say, okay, yes, you're up to the age and want to go ahead to write the will.
You know, we're guided by ethics and professions.
Okay.
I mean, in the legal profession,
Yeah.
you don't breach the, you know, the privacy
Okay,
of
of such
your
a person,
client
yeah.
and all of that. So there are some extent, there is an extent to which you can go. So the only assurance you want to get as a professional is that such property is acquired in his name, and he's of age, and he has a sound mind or mental capacity, is of age legally to acquire such. If he has, you know, maybe, okay, you ask him occupation, he said, I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
What sort of business? I'm into buying and selling. I'm into construction. I think that's the extent to which you can go.
Okay.
Okay, who are your clients? Okay, you had two. All right, the other one, where did he get his money from? To come and consult you or to patronize you? You won't go into such details. So there's a limit to which you can go with your clients. But you make sure that he's responsible and he has come for legal counsel and advice, and you take instructions from the compilation of instructions. You do the draft. From the draft, you get the basic nature of how the will look like, and then it comes around to read through, verify, then you edit, and then put the final copy together, and then he reads through, and if it's okay by him, then that goes.
Okay,
Then
so
signs,
when
and
can we say a will is invalid?
well, when it does not comply with the law, because all of these things we're talking about, as in being in writing, signed by the testator himself, witnessed by two witnesses or more, all these things are legal provisions. And then we're talking about mental capacity, being of age, and all of those things. Absence of undue influence is not. There's nothing challenging him mentally and all of that. If these things are not in place, they can be challenged. The validity of the will now be challenged. So Mr. Mogwa was talking about testing them in court, because the court is always there for the common man, as we say, to make sure that your rights are protected. Everything about your interest is made to have protection. That is basically what the courts are there for. And the lawyer brings in his professionalism to make sure that you don't run into hot waters, as it were, to make sure that everything about what you are doing is properly guided.
Okay. Okay, so how do we settle discrepancies between the cultural aspects and, will I say, the Englishman aspects?
Just like Mr. Omobai talked about,
Yeah.
when you die intestate, somehow you've submitted yourself to the other aspect coming into play. And that is one of the things you want to avoid by making your will.
Yeah.
So that it is only those fundamental aspects that even the law recognizes within the culture that will come to play. And if you have grown up within that culture, and let's say for instance you are a Bini man, or maybe you're an Igede man, and you understand that this is what my culture accommodates, and is also allowed culturally, is allowed by the law or permitted by the law, and these things have been maybe judicially noticed, you come to understand that this one I should not even go there. And if you are in doubt, your lawyer is there to put you through. So that is why professional counsel, professional advice from the lawyers is very, very important. So if we're talking about the mix-up or the interface or the fight between the cultural and the legal, there is actually none there, except when the legal is coming in to say that, well, this culture, though it has been in place, it is repugnant to equity, justice, you know, good conscience and all of that. Yes, it is not, even though it has played out in the past, times have changed. And you should be able to put off all of these ones that are funny and make, you know, take the good aspects and progress with it. So there is no conflict except where the cultural is holding to the one that the legal sees as obnoxious and, you know, repugnant to equity, justice, and good conscience.
Okay.
In what you have just said, in Benin system, that the first son owns property.
Everything.
But it has played out well, in the case of Agidi.
Yes, the area. So
he owns the compound. There are 3 houses in Mako. The senior son that he owns everything. But when they went to court, then the court says where the man lived and died.
Yes.
But the 2 houses, they're given to the family to be shared. So, like what you are saying, we have guideline over such issues. But some of them now still fight that he owns the whole property. It's going to be shared among the 3. Because our will is also guided. And it is guided in a way when the man makes a will and called about 3 or 4 people, he will swear their God before them. Anyone that tells lie against what I said, he or she will die and put a curse. That curse also, it will be appearing in court, not to tell a lie. That is the only way the standard is kept. The corruption may enter. Not that we don't, when the culture still respect the will, written will that is being put in operation.
Generally, equity aids the diligent, not the indolent. You don't sleep over your right. You know that something is going amiss and you are being pushed to the corner or, you know, pushed to the wall. Get up and do something. At least the legal luminaries are there to aid you in the cause of justice.
Okay, now I will start this question. I think everyone will have a say on this. Concerning, we know some women, when they see things happening in the family, they tend to go out, go get their own properties for themselves. Now, from Mr. Theophilus, we want to know the reason why these things still happen till now.
Getting property,
yes, like they acquire
with or without the knowledge of the husband.
Without the knowledge of the husband.
Without the knowledge of the husband,
yes,
is what we have been happening on all this while.
Yes,
it's because of the issue of trust. The woman in question does not trust the system. The woman in question believes the system is not fair to her. The woman in question believes that the system is going to exclude her when the time comes. So make hay while the sun shines. That's the whole policy. I'm not justifying or accepting anything. I'm not just telling you the reality. There is some other cases, it's beyond that. We've seen cases where some husbands, I'm sorry to say, are killjoys. The wife comes in and she's trying to make some money from her trade, struggling and all that. And she shares her successes with the husband. The man is not so happy. He believes that very soon the man will not overtake. I mean, that is just, that mentality is not acceptable at all. It's such people who believe. I was watching a comedy series, and one of them joked that the rich dies and leaves a will. The poor dies and leaves a bill. Many people believe that the will is not for the poor people. Now we are saying that wills are very important, especially our women. So those who go out to go and build, even though it's not too justified, they are doing that because they are not left with no other options.
Okay, so can we say society has pushed them to doing what they are doing?
Society prepares a crime, the individual commits it.
Okay.
That's a popular saying by one of the anthropologists. I will explain that. It's not the same society that will welcome home a politician from Abuja, and by the time the man arrives this night, by the next day you have like 100 people in that house. He has to kill like 5 cows. Yeah. He has to do so many things, give out stipends to these people. Where does he get his money from? He goes back to Abuja. He says, by the time I come again, it will be 200 of them. Part of the society waiting for me. Yeah. So they prepare the crime already. It's just for you to go and commit it over there. Okay. Many don't fall into that trap. It's a trap. You don't fall into it. But many who do, ask them, they will tell you. So the woman is doing all that because of the societal pressure that she sees. Sometimes during the marriage. And the woman herself too is not exonerated. Because during the marriage, because of the marriage, we have seen women who keep their family members, the man's own parents, brothers and all, at bay. They want to come visit you now. What do you want to do? The man tells the wife, Jambu, they come tomorrow. What do you want to do? Maybe they are in Jos. And the Jambu is coming from Benin. Yeah. He's on holidays. He wants to go and see his brother, his sister brother. And you say, what do you want to do? And the young man arrives in Jos, and you treat him so
he's not welcomed.
And he's watching your younger sister in that same house. You know, going to school, being sponsored by the husband. The young Jobu is watching. You know, what he does is he goes to prepare his mind. When the time comes, he will support you. No. When the family is so the women themselves should be wise enough and do due diligence, you know, as wives and mothers, to make sure they carry the family along. Okay. Now, in a nutshell, Ipa, Chief, to wrap it up.
Well, like what he had just said, I said it before. Because time has changed. Women can now build houses. Because when we see what they suffer because of the way we share our property to the senior son, because of progenitor type of life we live. So that men now, even assist their beginning men, even assist their junior wives, even senior one, that who may, her son may acquire the house, they see her. The men are doing it for their wives to guide against what they really suffer when the man has gone.
All right. Okay, now, quickly now,
I want to say to you, go make a will today. Take advantage of all the counsel, legal advice, enlightenment you have received from this program today. Go make one. The lawyers are there. They're ready to aid you, assist you, and make sure you have a good one. If there is cause for review tomorrow, you can do that. Okay.
All right, big thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you so much, Mr. Theophilus. Thank you so much, Chief Ero, and thank you so much, our barrister, for making sure you're here with us, enlightening us, educating us on everything that has to do with will. Till we'll be seeing you again next week for another exciting time. Do have yourself a blessed day and happy new month once again to each and every one of you. Bye for now.